All right, guys, waiting for those notifications to go out. Hopefully they do, because it's a kind of short notice of a notice. Give me 1 second as we wait. Alrighty. Let me put this music off, or at least very, very low. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. I don't need to be on camera because this is actually a pre-recorded video that we're going to be playing. But the reason why I'm doing it as a live format is because as I'm watching this, like, kind of like before, where it's like you start thinking about the things that we didn't ask before, or what was it that happened. And again, if you have not watched part 1 of the needle lie, you're going to need to watch that one. Some of you guys are going to be like, I don't even understand what the hell this is about. And some of you guys might already know what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and play it. Shout out to Pinche Becky in the chat. Now, let me tell you guys something. We do have copywritten music. So we had to buy the licensing for that. If anybody wants to support the channel by helping out with that, that would be amazing. Hit the Cash App or a super chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Make sure you guys are sharing and hitting that like button. Okay, I'm going to disappear while this plays. Becky, thank you so much for speaking with me about this specific topic. It's been literally like a year since you hit the link regarding the whole thing with the needle situation and everything. And the reason why I think that it's important for us to clear it up is because there's been an evolution, like this narrative took off and grew legs, and a lot of us didn't really understand what was the big deal, right? I know for me, I was more concerned about, well, can we just focus on protesting and the children and all this other stuff? But this guy, and for the purposes of this video, we're going to call him Scott. We're not calling him by his channel name because we give no clout over here whatsoever. And that's his legal name. That's his name all over the mugshots. That's where we're going to stay at. His name is Scott.
I prefer to call him Scott because he, like, you're Scott.
Yeah, I'm here for that. So let's take it back a little bit. You participate in this encampment occupation. You are not necessarily a Scientologist protester. Is that correct? Okay. So, but you found this situation out through watching, my understanding, Laura's videos and Street's videos. And
it was through Street. So I would normally do the 1A. I would go and watch the 1A. When I would go, because I used to walk quite a bit around my block. Sometimes there would be cops. I would record them, but I really wouldn't post them. It was just more like you're being filmed kind of a deal. So anyways, I saw Streets kept coming up. And then his videos automatically played. And I think it was one where Jacob and Laura were out there, and I saw LAPD hounding Laura, and Laura talking about her dad, and that just kind of hit, that just kind of hit. So when I started to see that LAPD was in their, they were in LAPD's pockets and vice versa, I said, oh no, we know how dirty LAPD is. I'm gonna go out there. So I went out to kind of help out with the homeless people that were out there.
How did you meet Scott? How did that happen? Like, how did that encounter?
Well, they were at Big Blue. When I went out there, I saw this person who was loud, And my first thought was, oh no, you're gonna bring shit down here with LAPD, because I saw how he was screaming to the police officers, and that to me was like, you're just going to um, piss him off, you know. Um, so I went out there. I started following Scott. I started get going, and again, I was following different creators. I really, was kind of chatting in different groups. And then when I saw that he was so close to the house, that Big Blue was so close to my house, I said, let me go out there and see how I can help, especially with the harm reduction portion of it. Because I think at La Poubelle, they had taken out a gentleman. They took him out. He seemed to be very high, very drunk. And they just kind of put him in the corner.
How long have you been doing harm reduction?
Oh gosh.
This wasn't your first time, right? Like you've been.
Because of the work that I do and the advocacy of the work that I do, I was offered to go and get these classes, which are not, harm reduction. It was a pilot program. And it was like, we're trying to see if we can teach people the practices of harm reduction. I'm more of a patient advocate, resources, where to go and get resources for food pantries, doctors, hospitals, who to go see. I do more of that. So I was asked if I could go and interview, because you had to interview to be part of this pilot program. So I agreed.
You met Scott throughout this protesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you had your ideas about Scott, but he asked you to become a harm reduction specialist and have your own tent, or how did this go down exactly?
So because I saw that they were using the unhoused, I figured let's go educate them on harm reduction, because they were dealing with people that were in addiction. We saw some addiction out there. We saw some trauma. All of this is stuff that I had recently been certified for. At LA had a program and still has a program.
The pilot program.
The pilot program. The pilot program has now taken wings, and it's still ongoing. There's been, I think, 4 or 5 new classes that have graduated in this. So I went out there. Again, it was because they were using the homeless.
How were they using the homeless? What do you mean by that?
Well, there was a video where Scott said something to the effect of, well, who doesn't like, who gets upset for helping the homeless? We can go out there. And he made a video where he was pretty much telling Laura, we're going to use the homeless, and who can get mad at that? The same way that they use the trigger words, child abuse, sexual abuse, homelessness, gays, the same way that those are trigger words that normally will get people to perk up their ears and be like, wait a minute, these are marginalized communities. Oh, you're helping them? Wait, Scientology, you're mad because they're helping the homeless? So that's how they were using it. It wasn't because now I know that it wasn't because he was truly trying to assist a population. He was using them for the clicks, views, and the donation.
So in addition to the protesting, when we talk about the encampment, what is the encampment? What was the purpose of that? What was that supposed to do?
So I was showing them and educating people on harm reduction. That was my purpose, to educate the protesters on harm reduction, since they were talking to the unhoused. They were dealing with the unhoused. I think at that time,
because of that area, there's a heavily homeless population. So not only are the protesters protesting, they're encountering this population. Yes. So you kind of came in and said, I might not be a Scientologist protester, but I got this skill set. But you understood that there was a Scientology protest. It wasn't like,
yes.
Okay, no. I just want to make sure I understand that. Okay, so when all of that happened, how did it go from you seeing Scott here and there and then having your feelings about your thoughts on that to him approaching you, asking you to be part of this encampment thing?
I really thought Scott was out there to help out. And because he lived in a van and he himself claimed, I live in a van, I do this, I go across state. I would send them groceries, or I would drop off groceries. I would send them a burger. And I have receipts of all of that.
So you were supporting the protesters by doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So then the whole encampment, he called me up. By then we had exchanged numbers because, again, I was bringing out fruits, vegetables to him. Okay. By then I was cooking out there already. And so he called me and he says, Becky, we want to have an occupation and we want to do an encampment. And, I want to bring tents for the homeless. And I really want to incorporate the homeless in the encampment. So I said, when you invite the homeless, the unhoused, you invite drugs, you invite them to steal because they have nothing to lose, and you invite cops. I personally would recommend against it. No, it's going to be great. I want you out there practicing harm reduction. Harm reduction is a very broad area, and there are differences in it. Harm reduction does include needle exchange, testing strips, finding resources, finding doctors. It's a very broad area. What I practice, or what I'm most interested in, is finding resources.
So let me go back a little bit. Let's go back to the purpose of when he was calling you and he was saying, hey, come, we want to do an encampment. We want you to be part of this. We want you to do this with us. He invited you. Did you explain to him all of this, right? Like, this is what it's going to look like. You're inviting different things to happen. Did he tell you specifically, I want you to bring this kind of reduction and not this kind of reduction stuff? So, like, did he say, don't bring needles? No. What happened? No. What happened there?
He said, Becky, oh my God, it's going to be great. It's going to, the encampment is going to be about harm reduction. And I want you to go out there and you're going to have a tent. And so I was very specific with them. I said, my participants are not for clicks and views.
Okay.
If I'm helping someone out there and I'm talking to a participant and I see a camera on them, I'm walking, because they are not for clicks and views.
So was that the expectation, do you feel like, that there would be filming of you giving this kind of stuff to...
I was very clear with him when I told him that was not going to happen.
What did he say to that?
He said, no, Becky, it's okay. You're going to have your own tent. We're going to have a sofa. I said, is that tent going to have, is it going to be covered? Because we're helping people that are at their lowest. They're in need.
You wanted to give them privacy. Is that what it
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. Some privacy. And he said, no, don't worry. How it actually happened was they put up signs telling people that there were being, cameras and videotape. I understand that there were going to be cameras. Hello, you're trying to bring awareness to this. My only request, it wasn't don't videotape a homeless person. My only request was, if, let's say, Rabbit, I was talking to you, you're going through a hard time, you're a working person, but you're having a hard time putting food on the table. So the expectation was he was going to provide me with the laptop to use. to have, to borrow. And I was going to bring up the resources there. And so it would be like, again, like you coming and me looking up resources. Okay, there's a pantry over here. Um, there was someone out there that kept talking about their apartment having mold and they needed to know what resources to take. Okay, you're going to go to the housing department here.
There was somebody
So,
in the encampment who said that their apartment had mold.
And I referred them over to the housing, to their housing and employment department.
So when he was asking you to do all this and, you know, the laptop, you sounds like you went there. Did he provide the tent that he said he was going to provide? Was it all covered up?
No.
Okay. So how many people did you see that day in that encampment that needed resources or needed and again, they needed a bag and reduction stuff?
So this was where we came to a problem. Scott was given a TRO by Scientology,
What
a
is
temporary
that?
a temporary restraining order.
Who was given that?
Scott and Dan.
At the encampment?
Mm-hmm. They were given temporary restraining orders.
When was this?
At the very beginning, I want to say at the same day of the convoy where they went around in the cars around Scientology. If it wasn't that day, it was the very next day. But they were given temporary restraining orders. So now we are left with this. I mean, when I tell you, you could have furnished a full apartment with how much stuff was out there. I'm not kidding. So now we are left with this encampment tent where homeless people were welcomed into.
How far away were the tents from Big Blue?
They were on the property, not on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm.
So the guy that was organizing this gets served with the TRO. He can't be in the property. So who was supposed to be leading this whole thing?
Leah. And Leah, Scott told Leah, you're in charge of the encampment. Cool, right? I mean,
let me stop right here. Okay, shout out to everybody coming through. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see a lot of folks in here. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Let me say something real quick that's very, very important that I don't want us, go ahead. I don't want us to miss. Guys, this event was supposed to be a month-long encampment event, okay? The guy that was organizing this event gets a TRO basically the first, second day of the event starting. And nobody else was in charge of this event. Now, one of the questions I was probing certain folks that were, you know, in the areas, I said, how much money was donated for this thing? And let me say this, I got some estimates. They're talking about anywhere from 45,000 to 50,000 to 60,000. I got various estimates for an encampment to be month long, only to end right away. Okay, only to have the person that's leading it not be there. Keep that in mind. I think the numbers are important, and you guys, so it makes you wonder, well, what happened to all the stuff? What happened to the money? What happened to all of that? Questions.
When he got the temporary restraining order, I'm going to speak for myself. I knew that he had been working on it for about a month.
The encampment?
Okay. Prior to the actual date of the encampment. Yes. He was getting donations. He got a black grill. He got big, huge water tanks that never had any water. He got porta potties. He got, I mean, it was a full-on apartment outside of Big Blue. And I guess one of the unhoused, we'll use the term homeless, just because I know that's what people are comfortable with, but it doesn't matter. So she apparently took Scott's keys that he had laying around. She went in a tent and Scott told her to leave because she had picked up a flag or stolen a flag. Again, when you invite the homeless who have absolutely nothing.
You have no control over what could happen there. So then, there was the encampment was in the property. The protesting
Outside,
continued.
and it was outside in the easement, like on the sidewalk. You know where the big sign that says Scientology? It was all on Fountain.
So they were still the protesting was still going on while this is all happening.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if he was given a TRO as well as Danny, right? They were not allowed in this property where this
They were
encampment is going.
not. They were not allowed. I think it was 500 feet from Big
Okay.
Blue.
So if these tents are in this area, when did he decide? Okay, I gotta honor this TRO. I'm confused by. Let me tell you what I'm confused about. When did we go from getting this TRO to then suddenly he's out here directing everybody, and then how was he even available? How was he even there to kind of see
On
all
the
this?
phone, he was watching all the streams. I was streaming for my protection because of
So he wasn't in
Scientology.
the property. He was watching.
Was watching the streams.
So he was sitting there watching all of this go down. I guess where it's a little confusing. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. Is because
No, go ahead.
when he's on the van, reacting to Laura's like, I got pricked by a needle, no, I didn't type of situation. He's over here saying that I was so frustrated. I was telling people to put things away or do all this. How could he have done that if he wasn't there? He wasn't there?
No.
No, it was what the issue was that there was no control over the tents and who and what was coming in and out of the tents. And that was what I tried to stop Becky to get Becky and Rib Guy to do, was the break down the tents. Because my concern became that there was going to be people in there that were going to put drugs into the tents. And then the LAPD would come there and then everyone would get busted for drugs. That was what the issue was. And that was when PJ, Becky, and Rib Guy became bad actors.
He was given a TRO. Okay, so I was not part of the mod chat. I was not part of the Instagram chat. I was never a part of any of those chats. Do not text me with 30 different names talking about, here, look, a picture of my dog. I went out there to help the protest. I was not out there to make your friendships grow, yes, they do, but I was not out there to be part of, and again, behind the scenes, there was a lot of text messaging going on that I wasn't aware, because I don't need.
And it sounds like you guys are saying in the chat that he got the TRO the third day that all of this went down. That first it was him and then it was Danny, right? And Danny was supposed to take leadership of this. I don't know who decided what leadership and what, but it should be noted just the mess that was caused, when things aren't planned properly.
To see a picture of your dog and Fifi and and then have 30 people react to it. You know how those threads go with 1,000 people on a text message? No.
Me. I'm thinking this guy is, just so frustrated because people aren't doing what he's asking them to do, but he's actually not even in the vicinity to actually direct this because he can't be.
It was at the hotel room.
So, okay. How did we go from Becky? You're talking to folks, okay, trying to set everybody up with the recovery,
with recovery,
right? With all the stuff, and then suddenly he's got. You don't talk to him anymore that day, or what happened?
So he was given an RO. The cops came out and pretty much told him, "You got to go." They served him with the RO, with the temporary restraining order. Me knowing that he had worked so hard on this for over a month, and there was so much money invested in it and making this a success, I said, well, you know what? Let's keep going. Come on. So things were not set up. Mind you, again, he was given an RO. Like the grill wasn't completely set up, the burners. The water wasn't brought in because we were supposed to have, there were these two big, huge tanks for clean water to wash dishes and all of that. That wasn't done. There was quite a lot to still do. This was supposed to be a month-long occupation. A month-long occupation.
And it was set up by him, and who else was supposed to, were there
86
people?
86, yeah. So we never even got to that part because he was booted so quickly out of there. Him and Danny.
And it's not like they could clear the TRO the next day. Like they needed a way to go to a courtroom and do it.
Scientology was still playing dirty. Let's be real. LAPD was still playing dirty. Let's be real. So how did the whole needle situation come about? The day that I went to the hub, we call it the hub, to go pick up harm reduction supplies, I very specifically said, you know what? We're teaching harm reduction out here. I'm gonna need because our biggest concern right now is what? Fentanyl and trank. So I requesting tested supplies for fentanyl, trank, condoms.
You ordered this.
I requested, yeah.
You requested it, right? And to be fair, because there's this level of confusion, well, you can't have Narcan if you don't have insurance. That's not necessarily the case if you're going through a hub or a different agency that's providing this stuff for you, right?
Well, anybody can get the Narcan.
Okay.
So we are dropping off some Narcan.
Okay. Here in California, anybody, you don't need it.
If you're going through a harm reduction program, is that correct? So if I don't have insurance for Narcan and I go to Becky, who is a harm reduction specialist, she gets her supply through a different party. I'm able to get, you're not asking my insurance information. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
I don't even ask you your name.
And I looked into the research of this. There's been some changes in the law to this just recently.
That's American law.
Yeah, I did notice that back when all this was going down, this was, people can do this. You can go and get Narcan if I go to a harm reduction specialist. And there's so many of them out there, by the way. You're not the only one, Becky, correct?
No. This is where the confusion lays. Again, I was part of a pilot program. We're going to teach you guys how the practice of harm reduction. What is harm reduction? Meeting people where they're at.
Exactly.
When there is someone that has addiction issues, there's different levels of addictions. There's the ones that, you know what, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. Let me stick whatever I want in me. Okay. How are we going to make it safer for them? You give them clean supplies so that they don't share, so the hepatitis, so the monkeypox, so that all to keep everybody else safe. You know what? If you want to go ahead and smoke that, let me at least give you a clean pipe.
This is all evidence. This is an evidence-based program. Let me ask you a question, because there's always confusion about your certification. There is this, you don't need to be certified, which is correct. You don't need to be certified. However, when you came about in the scene, in my interview with you, you said that you were certified. So there's a level of confusion, in what you showed in my video, when you showed that paperwork and you taped out, that was actually a training certificate. It wasn't a certification.
It was a training.
So then people were going well, she's not certified. Well,
no,
why don't we allow you to explain? Are you certified? If not, explain this confusion about this.
So when I first went to the program, they called it certification. Okay. Now that we were
the pilot program.
That was the pilot program. That was the pilot program.
There's a difference. Go ahead.
That was the pilot program. You know what? You're going to be a certified harm reduction specialist. Cool. So when we were starting the pilot program, and for those that don't know what a pilot program is, we're pretty much it. We are trying to figure out what is going to stick with the program and what needs to be changed. We're the guinea pigs for this
It's the
program.
front end of a lot of things. So yeah, in social work,
Grassroots.
there's a lot of pilot programs out there that get pioneered
Yeah.
to, help people. And I'll make sure I put a definition on this video so people
Yeah.
understand, because they don't get it. So if I call Los Angeles County Health Department to find out if Becky is certified, you're not going to get somebody to tell you that, because it doesn't exist. That makes sense.
How did the LA County Human Services Department and the Department of Mental Health gave a grant to this organization? You know what? We want to see if this works. You've been trying to make it work. I will give you, $1 million and see if you can make it work. From that $1 million, okay, let's start this program. Let's start this education. We were trauma informed. We were told, obviously, the different drugs that are being used. We were also informed about sexual work. We were all of it. Anything you name, we were, it was an 8-week program.
Okay. And so that was the certificate that you got. Is that correct? Okay.
I had a graduation and all.
You're not bound by HIPAA. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I just want to make sure that people are clear with that. But you still honor people's privacy, the homeless specifically. Okay.
Yes.
You're not bound by it. Do you collect a number? Do you have like when you're giving, is there like an inventory that you keep of these baggies? No, they just hand them out to you, and that's the inventory that they have. Whatever, they account for what they're giving out to you. Is that correct?
So in LA, there's one organization that gets all of the items. Oh, guess who's the one that kind of trained us on how to use some of these items? They did. From this hub, there's I believe 4 or 5 other organizations. They go here and say, you know what? We have a high rate of sexual workers, or we have quite a bit of people in addiction if you're working on Skid Row. Depending on that here, okay, these are your items. So now they go to the second person. And then you have the smaller organizations that say, you know what, can I please have these harm reduction supplies? So it just kind of trickles down throughout the city. Because I went there for some training, and because Becky, let's be real, Becky can talk to anybody and everybody. I told them, you know what, we're doing this harm reduction encampment, which is what I was told. I want to educate them on using condoms and so on.
This was for a month. So were you giving supplies for like a whole month?
I can go in at any time, but I was giving a whole bunch of supplies, yes. The one thing I did not take, and I was very specific, was needles, because I don't do needle extraction.
Okay.
And at the bottom of the bag, because these are volunteers. A lot of the times, these are volunteers that are either in the route to recovery, or they have already gone through a program like AA or
a recovery program.
Mm-hmm. So they'll volunteer here.
So let's get into the needle part, because we were about to get into it. So Scott has a TRO with Danny, right? He has to leave the property. How many hours into the event was he basically, because it was the first day of the event, correct?
Yeah, I think it was the first day after they did the convoy, where they went around. I stayed behind because I wanted to cook. So by the time that they did their whole lap up to, I think it was Hollywood, from Big Blue to Hollywood, they were going to do laps. I wanted them to come back and have some food. So I stayed behind to start cooking. Well, guess what? We don't have a grill. It was the first day of the event. He had to leave. And this is after they had done the convoy. They had done, I did a lap with sassafras. It was all like, it was a very festive atmosphere out there. Everybody was enjoying it. Guess what? We can't cook. What do you mean I can't make my pozole? Because there is no grill. Okay, so whatever they had to do for the grill, I still managed to cook. I said, well, fuck it up. Let me go ahead and make chicken soup.
Okay.
So I stayed behind. I didn't hear anything about a needle until he accused me of bringing needles into the encampment. And I said, wait a minute.
The event starts. You're not in your tent, given the reduction.
I was never given a tent. The tent that I was supposed to use ended up being for all of the electronics.
So you never actually got a tent?
I never actually got a tent.
How many tents did they actually set up overall when all this?
About 5 or 6 tents, small tents.
5 or 6 on that property?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Small tents, not the canopy. I was supposed to have like a canopy with the privacy around so that I can help whoever needed to come in. That's what I was told.
So your reduction, and you had given instructions to how you kind of envisioned this after he asked you to join it. Okay. You get there and there is no reduction tent. Nothing has been set up for a reduction tent, correct?
No.
But you were still doing reduction, harm reduction education with folks while you were there?
Yeah. So when the homeless would come and want to eat, by then I was cooking. Sure, let's go ahead and feed you. I would say they were probably about 4 or 5 homeless people that came by and got food. There was, I believe, 3 that were actually using the tents. One of them was like, nope, I'm not leaving. And I was all like, I told you guys. So they wanted me to tell that man that he had to leave. This is after the first lady tried to steal a flag. And Scott was upset, threw a fit. And I told Scott was in that tent. Scott was in the tent. Then he came out. The lady went into the same tent. Scott was.
So when he got this TRO, you said, you know what, we're going to keep moving. He's been working hard all month. He got all this money. Where do you go from there once he had to leave the property? Where do you go?
So I stayed out there for over 24 hours.
So you this is where you decide to cook the food, correct?
That's when I decided to cook the food. Sandra was really upset because Scott made Leah, I guess, the manager of the encampment. I don't know how else to put it to make it make sense.
Did she want to be the manager? I guess I'm confused.
Yes, she wanted to run. It was more, okay, so I started to hear them argue. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? I was streaming, actually. They start to argue. Sandra is being very loud and verbal. So they were arguing. I muted my chat and I said, sorry, guys. I muted my chat and I took off my little earbuds and I said, what's happening? And Sandra's all like, and she's being lazy and Scott wants it this way. So because other people were filming, I took Sandra across the street. And I'm like, girl, why are you so upset? Well, because God made her in charge and look at her. She was very insulting. And what I told her was, we're not a group. We do our own thing. But she's not telling us what to do. And I'm like, okay. So I walked across the street and I asked Leah, what exactly do you want? Well, this is not labeled. I said, Leah, and Leah just kind of stared at me like, I said, Leah, I'm not going to be reading your mind. If you want us to help with something, you have to speak up.
So so they didn't even know what the hell was going on, right? Like maybe not even prepared for anything like that.
No.
Okay.
So the next, I get a phone call from Scott, where he's asking me, this is the audio tapes, where he's asking me about every single protester. This is, I want to say, about 3 days in.
So that's that same day when Scott is out of the property. When did you find out about you being accused of needles? Like what? And then we'll go into the audios.
So, me and Asha had like a disagreement. To me, you have disagreement with friends, not a big deal. You just kind of cool off, come back the next day, and you're cool, right? At least that's what I thought. Anyway.
When you were cooking the food?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When I was cooking the food, yeah, there was a slight disagreement. That was the day that Michael got arrested. So there was all kinds of drama going on. So we were all, everything, shit was hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Then what, I think it was the last day, I was about to go out and I'm like, something just told me, no, stay away from there today, girl. So I didn't go to the encampment. I called Hammett up and I said, Hammy, you want to go to the beach? She's all like, oh my God, I can use some rest. I said, let's go to the beach.
So the first day that you were there, right? All of this is going down
overnight.
You stay there 24 hours, and then is that after 24 hours you decide to leave and go get
I went home, rested, came back.
And then you came back. Okay.
Then I came back. And please remember that my dates might not be consistent because I was out there for maybe 3-4 days. So some of them I stayed overnight, some of them I did not stay overnight.
Okay.
I just kind of stayed until 2-3 in the morning, went home, came back. During that time, like I said, I was just trying to cook as much as I could.
While you were there.
I took out, as a matter of fact, Circle, which is an organization here in LA that helps the homeless, that when they have someone sleeping outside of their, let's say their driveway, they call Circle, and Circle comes out and helps with the homeless person to give them resources. So they were called out to the encampment. And Scott is like, Circle is here. Go talk to them. Go talk to them. And I'm like, I just came. I don't know who called.
You don't know.
They were called. No, I don't know. So I go and I talk to the 2 Circle people. Scott is like, oh yeah, they were very impressed with what was happening over there and the help that they were supposed to give the homeless. They were actually impressed. I told them, I practice harm reduction and I have the testing strips. Oh, great. Can I have your name? Because sometimes we need a bilingual person. What organization are you with? And I said, I'm not. I'm independent. And that's where the I'm independent
came out.
That's
Why did you say you're independent? How are you?
Because I don't work with a particular organization.
You're not full-time employed by an agency. Okay,
no,
gotcha.
Nope. I refuse because when you end up working with an agency, they limit you as to what you can do.
Okay, so that happens. Take us to when you're in and out for like 3 days or whatever. That's happening. You have a short little argument with Aja. You're seeing Leah. So it sounds like she's being asked to step up certain aspects of this thing. I want you to take me back. Scott's nowhere to be found because he's got that TRO. I want you to take me back about how suddenly you got blamed for needles when you didn't bring needles.
So I'm on the way to the beach. And I'm getting all these text messages, and Leah's not here, and this is not happening, and that's not happening. And I tell Hammy, I really need a break. Again, remember, we've been out there for days. So we head out to the beach. On our way to the beach, I start getting text messages. I never saw Scott's. I somehow, those little thumbs up on the text messages. Somehow I ended up hitting that. I don't even know how.
Okay.
Anyways,
Ooh, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I want to say something to a comment right here. To be ethically correct, the donations were meant for homelessness programs, and a respectable, normal person would donate all the equipment and money to a program for the homelessness. That's right. If you don't finish something, then the respect, whether it's a nonprofit or something like that, like you would donate whatever it may be somewhere to a nonprofit because it's a donation. It's not necessarily yours, right? So then the question becomes is, and I'm hearing numbers. I'm telling you, I heard all kinds of different numbers when I was reviewing this, that so and so donated this. This is how much money was donated. And I'm just sitting here and I'm wondering, so the guy that led this was out by like the third or second day or whatever the day may be. At the end of the day, and the point, he was out, right? He was out. And this was supposed to be a month long, but only lasted less than 6 or 7 days. So what happened then? What happened to all the money? What happened to everybody? And then I get it that, well, so and so left, so another person stepped in charge, but you're literally you have an encampment for a month long. It should have been a situation where there would have been shifts. There would have been some. This is just a disaster. And what do you prioritize? The protesting or the encampment? Which one is it? Because I don't know. It's just so many moving parts. And this is the question that I have. And what happened to all of that? Because when you're holding an event like something like this, right? You typically have receipts for everything and you can do a spreadsheet to have a long accounting of everything that's going on and where things were taken and who took what and who donated to what. That's the question that I was wondering. I said, so everybody donated, and I'm hearing it was anywhere from 45,000 to 50,000 to 60,000. All this money was donated for a month event that only lasted 6 days, and people aren't asking questions about what happened to this money and what happened to, like, I don't know, man. That's interesting, but okay. Let me remove myself and be quiet. And the person that said this up there, you are absolutely correct. The ethical thing would be to donate whatever leftover monies, whatever leftover material to a nonprofit or a homeless shelter, whatever it may be. And there's plenty of them out there. Okay, we're talking about LA. And by the way, before I start, I want to shout out Dorothy Peoples. Thank you so much for being a member for 23 months. Pup Groomer, thank you guys for your membership donation. Finji, thank you. Finji's been a member for 9 months. Thank you. Coco's mom, I hope you have a good night. Thank you again, Finji. And DB and Boyce, I don't even know. We'll probably answer that later because we're really on topic right now. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, please, and thank you. And we did buy some licensing for music, so if you guys want to support the channel, please do so. I would appreciate it. All right, let me make myself smaller and shut up so we can keep going.
I get a couple of phone calls saying, Becky, you're being told that you're a bad actor. And I'm like, I'm a bad actor? Yeah, they're calling you a bad. Remember, there's all these text messages and stuff going on in the background.
Okay.
That I'm not aware of. Selfless and Pearl Snap, they call me. Becky, you need to get rid of Ellie as your mom. She's so harmful to your channel. She's blocking. And I said, everybody that I blocked, that's blocked, I blocked because they were talking bad about Scott, the so-called trolls.
This is where Ellie suddenly, like, her name kind of gets drugged into all of this. See, and I didn't, I didn't know Ellie like that. Actually, there's probably a lot that I don't know from that version of that story. But okay, go ahead.
I get called, Becky, you gotta get rid of Ellie, and I said, Ellie's only been my mod like for a day. She hasn't done anything to me. But the way that they were exaggerating it, and I'm like, I don't see it that way. But okay, you know what? I'm heading out to the beach. I'll look into it when I come back because right now it's me time. I've earned it. Right? So we head out to the beach. I get another phone call. And it's like, Becky, they're going to break down the encampment. And everybody starts, people start texting me about the encampment, how they're going to tear it down. And I'm like, what is happening? That same confusion that you feel right now is the same confusion I had. It was
this wasn't even like a week, right? It hasn't even gone for a week. No. And this was supposed to go for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And this was organized by a person who got a TRO who had to leave the property. And then somehow somebody was supposed to
Keep it going.
And how many, real quick, how many homeless people are we talking about showed up overall that you remember?
Altogether, I would say about 6.
There wasn't a
that
lot?
came. No, it was not. No, we had just started. People were starting to hear
protesters
about it.
and homeless people? Was there more protesters?
Oh,
than
yeah.
homeless?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right, go ahead.
yeah.
6 homeless people for all that supplies. Okay, just pay attention to the numbers. 6 homeless people for all that supplies. Wow. Okay, I don't know, just seems kind of off to me, but okay, let me remove myself.
So I start hearing this. We're gonna take down the encampment. So I reach out to Scott. Scott doesn't call me. I guess he had text messaged me, which I had not seen. And then I'm hearing this whole bad actor, and I'm all like, what is happening? So I see that he is live, that he is holding a panel. And I tell Hammett up, you know what? I'm gonna go in that panel to get clarification. If they're that upset at me, I don't want it to hit you. So I stepped away from Hammett up. And I went on Scott's panel. Becky, you need to get rid of Ellie and Ellie. And I said, but Scott, she hasn't done anything to me. You gotta get rid of her. And I said, and if I don't, then you can't be at the encampment or whatever, protest or whatever he said. And I said, you know what? Love you, Scott, then I'm out.
So he's telling you you can't be there when he can't be there.
I cannot be because several things had happened. Like he's mad because I won't make Ellie I won't get rid of Ellie as a model.
What I'm getting at is he's telling you you can't be in the encampment when he can't even be in the encampment. That's where I'm getting at. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. He's telling you on a panel that you can't be in the encampment when he is not even able to be in the encampment to take any leadership of the thing that he organized, and he's putting it off on other folks, right? So somehow you can't be in the encampment because Ellie is your mod, and Ellie is a quote unquote bad actor. Am I hearing that correctly?
Because he
hold up. Let me get this straight. Erica says, whose fault is it that the homeless did not show up? The main purpose of the encampment was to annoy the church. So it wasn't to help the homeless or the unhoused. The main purpose of the encampment was to annoy the church. So put unhoused people there to annoy the church? That's interesting. Whose fault is it that the homeless did not show up? I mean, was there no outreach for the homeless to show up so they could? Because it sounds like, and I did see somebody say, like CK said here, that 6 sounds like a low number, but that a lot of the people were showing up for the food. I heard this too, but the homeless number was very low. So I don't know if I would necessarily, Erica, agree with your statement. The main purpose of the so bring a bunch of well, I mean, let me know how y'all think. It's to annoy the church, to have a bunch of homeless people to annoy the church. That just sounds so off to me. I don't know. He said he didn't want anyone in the encampment if he couldn't be there. Sounds so weird to just say that, but I don't know. It is not to help the unhoused. It was to piss off the Church of Scientology. So we were using homeless people to piss off the church. And you guys don't see anything wrong? Did anybody see anything wrong with that? So we're using, it was to, really? No. So can you tell me what the charitable, what was the charity part, I guess, of this? It's something's off about this. I don't know. Is it just me? Something sounds off. He just wanted, so he says, let me bring everybody in there. Jesus would love that statement, right? Some don't sound about right. I don't know what to make of it, and maybe I need to circle back. And Erica, I do have to say this though, because I'm like, huh? But you, so you only put this out here to annoy the church with homeless people? That sounds so off, but okay. All right, then. I guess we'll accept it for now. Let me remove myself.
He asked me for a copy of my harm reduction certificate. I was at the beach. I didn't have it on me, first of all. Second of all, he did see my harm reduction certificate when I first went out there. And I
asked
showed it
you
to
to
him.
help out. I'm assuming he would have done this before.
He saw it.
Okay.
He saw it. He just didn't give a rat's ass because that's not what he wanted me there for. He wanted me to make it legitimate that he was out there helping the homeless.
All right, hold up. There was something in this message that Becky shared with me, okay? He says, I'm being asked to get your certificate or certificate number for your harm reduction specialist certification by my legal team. I didn't know he had a legal team. Does he have a legal team and he needs funding for a lawyer? When did he get a legal team? So he had a legal team around this time? Can somebody tell me who the legal team is? Because this is interesting. I didn't know. His legal team didn't advise him all of this, right? Like, I'm just wondering. You said, yes, the Scientology hates them, hates the homeless. Don't confuse Scientology with an actual religion. I don't think anybody's confusing that, Erica's. Nobody's confusing. We know that Scientology is a cult. So, yeah, we get it. Thank you, though. There's a legal team behind this. I'm just letting y'all know the shit show of a shit show this was, just so people are aware. See, the legal team would have been like, you probably wanted this beforehand. Why are y'all laughing? The chat is the legal. Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness. He said legal team right here. He said legal team. You said it's Cap. Lord have mercy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm laughing, but yeah, no, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about this, but shout out to you guys. You said I'm sweating under my eyes. What? You said there's no actual. Well, he said there's a legal team. Okay, that this is a team. All right, that involves more than one person. Okay, let me remove myself because I need to shut up.
First of all. Second of all, he did see my harm reduction certificate when I first went out there. And I showed it to him.
To help out. I'm assuming he would have done this before.
He saw it.
Okay.
He saw it. He just didn't give a rat's ass because that's not what he wanted me there for. He wanted me to make it legitimate that he was out there helping the homeless. But he was pretty much using me. Anyways, all these messages are coming in. I asked him, well, who told you? I never said you were a bad actor. And I said, Scott, I'm not going to tell you who told me. But if that's the case, what do you need? Or I need your certificate. I don't have it here. I'll show it to you. And my intentions were not to keep it from you. But I didn't have it on me. I was at the beach. Not once did he mention any needles. Not once did he mention anything else. The pipe that I was educating people with out there about harm reduction and what I do with the pipes, I kept that pipe with me at all times. That pipe happened to be at the bottom of the backpack that the hub had given me.
Okay. It was on you, the one that video that he shows every time. Look, she brought pipes.
And you guys gonna learn. Yeah. And I carry this because a lot of you.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, but you wanted her to do harm reduction. What did you want her to do? Like, these are clean pipes that she was supposed to hand out, which is what you requested her to do. Anyways.
That's the thing that I did not do. I was very specific about not handing out pipes and needles. First, with the needle, you need a sharp container because it's normally a needle exchange. I don't do needle exchange.
Okay.
okay, to the pipe. But because LAPD was going to use anything and everything that they could on the protesters, I didn't pass out pipes. It wasn't illegal, but I still did not do it.
Okay.
Then it just started morphing from there. Oh, he brought needles. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't.
How would he know that if he wasn't even there when he had to leave shortly after the first day of the encampment? How would he know that you brought needles? So then he says on my channel, there's an interview, okay? Because remember, I talked to you first, and then he came and hit the link, and he said that he had found that this is what he found while he was there, that there was a needle that he found while he was there. And that there's no video of it, but he found it. And he was so worried that people were going to prick themselves with it.
What did he do with it?
What did he do with it?
And I didn't realize it was a bad idea until I saw a needle in the tent.
Okay.
And my concern was that someone was going to change the sheets and they were going to stick themselves with a needle.
Okay.
And really that was one of the biggest concerns. Now, I am the only person who saw the needle, so it's just my testimony and no one else's testimony.
He finds a needle. He doesn't say anything. But he was so worried. But when did he find the needle? When did you have time to find the needle if you had to leave with this TRO and you're still setting up things? It doesn't make sense. His story doesn't make sense whatsoever. But okay.
Let's say it belonged to the homeless one.
Could be.
One that he allowed to go into the tent.
The 6 or 7 homeless people that came in, because I'm thinking there was hundreds of homeless people here.
No.
And it wasn't even like that.
They were coming for food, yes. There were more protests. I think it was more of a statement that we're going to protest here and we're going to help the homeless and we're going to use the homeless as the excuse.
Wow.
To be here and be able to cook and so for whatever reason, I never took a needle. I never took needles there. How did the whole needle situation come into play? There was a video of me when I went to the LAPD commissioners where a homeless, he was unhoused, came up to me and said, LAPD tore down our harm reduction tent.
That's right. You did share that.
So I threw him in the car with me, and everybody's all like, Becky, are you nuts? Oh, you know what? We're fine. We're still alive. So we went to where he stayed at, which was the homeless encampments on Skid Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I emptied out my bag at the organization that helps out these homeless people in this specific area. I went out there and I emptied out my whole bag. Yes. Was there pipes? Yes, that's what I do. Testing strips. There was everything. Condoms, everything.
Okay.
Then they asked me if I had any needles. And I have a video where I told them, I don't have any needles. I don't do needle exchange. Okay. We really need needles. We're in dire need of needles because what happens is that they're shooting up and they're sharing needles. And this was if you look back to last year, there was an increase in monkeypox.
Okay.
So there was, some concern about people out there using and needing clean needles.
Yes.
So I went to the hub, and this I did on my stream, because I had promised Samson that I was going to do it. I went to the hub. I got additional Narcan testing strips, everything, pipes, and clean needles. The clean needles were in a bag. I never touched them. I never carried them with me. I handed it over to the organization.
But that has nothing to do with this encampment, right?
No, it's completely separate, and it was prior to the encampment.
So there was no.
This is my side, what I do on the side. Has nothing to do with the encampment.
You get accused. You're a bad actor. You hit the panel, right? You get told that you have to get rid of Ellie. Ellie's a bad actor. You're like, I've only had her for a month, for a day. And then he says to you, you're banished. You can't come to the encampment, even though he can't either. Then what? What happens after that? Then the needle
I said, fine. And then a few days after, I was accused of taking needles and passing out needles and passing out crack pipes. I had one crack pipe that I had in there. I kept that on me at all times. Again, I'm educating the public on what harm reduction is.
Did you bring crack pipes though? Well, I mean, isn't that part of harm reduction?
No, it was inside of the bag.
So that's why you showed it out.
That's why I started educating people on it. Yeah, I started educating people.
Sorry, you guys know I'm a harm reduction specialist. And you guys gonna learn. Yeah. And I carry this because a lot of you,
even if you, because you're there for harm reduction, you could bring a crack pipe if you wanted to. Okay,
that's what I was asked to do.
That right? He asked you to do that. Let's be very clear. Okay,
very clear. When you're practicing harm reduction, you're not judging the person while they are using. You know, you try to understand them. How many times has somebody said, I'm gonna pull you and you're gonna go to rehab, and it doesn't work? So the whole basis of this is, you know what? I'm gonna meet you right here. I'm gonna give you clean pipes. Again, I don't do needle exchange. I don't do needle exchange. I will need to carry a sharp container. I walk with a cane. I walk very slow. I don't do needle exchange, period, dot, end of story. But when someone is in addiction and they keep seeing the same person that's going out there, that's giving them testing supplies, that's sending the doctor for them, that is trying to just talk to them as if they're human, not if they're addicts. What happens then is when they are ready to enter recovery, the odds of them coming to someone that wasn't judgmental and, you know what do you need? They're going to come over, you know, and it has happened. I'm ready. I'm tired. I'm ready for rehab. Let's go. We don't ask questions. We don't. Just let's go right now. Come on, before you change your mind. And I've done that too.
Yeah, that's good, and I'm glad that we have people like that. You know, like you out there doing stuff like that. Becky, here's my question though. So after you get accused of bringing needles, which you said you didn't do, and then a bunch of other stuff starts happening, when did you hear about Laura getting hurt by a needle?
When she was at Aja's birthday, she kind of popped up and said, oh yeah, I was stuck by a needle.
She said that from her own mouth?
From her own mouth. She said it at Aja's birthday.
This is what she said, correct?
This is what she said herself, coming out of her mouth.
Laura said at Aja's party, I got stuck by a needle.
I don't want anybody getting poked in the tent, and I literally, guys, I got poked. And I didn't tell him this literally until 2 days ago, right?
No, that's horrible.
So I got poked by a needle, and
And then did she say it was Becky's needle? It was a needle
I don't remember what she said. It was a clean needle.
How do you know if it's clean? Okay.
So now there's all these accusations, and I'm like, it wasn't mine. I never heard about a needle. If you are holding this encampment with a harm reduction theme, is what I'm calling it, a theme, and I'm the person that you call to go out there and practice harm reduction, wouldn't you tell this person, you know what, we found a needle, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
How do we get rid of it? What did they do with the needle, with the so-called needle? Did they toss it? Did they leave it in there? Did they just throw it in the trash? Was it even there?
When the news came out, at least my understanding was there was a needle and she went to get medical help through like a chiropractor. You're saying it was a joke now, and I'm like, I don't think so. This was what was said, that it was a chiropractor who gave treatment to this. And let me go further, okay? And so then you kind of became this person that is a harm reduction specialist, a really bad one that brought in needles and people got stuck by needles.
It's
And
not licensed. I don't have insurance.
yeah, which you don't need it, but okay. And then furthermore, it just became like one thing after another.
And more. Yeah, one thing.
And more. Suddenly, just this week, we have a 5-hour live where he's reacting. Scott is reacting to Lara, talking about, let's talk about the needle thing. Let's see if I really got stuck. I went there. I didn't realize this happened to me right away, which then makes, if you get stuck by a needle and you're in this occupation situation, right away, I get stuck by a needle. Take me to a doctor so I can go get checked. Get that needle.
Right.
Let's get it in a little baggie and let's figure that out. It took a couple days. She couldn't determine whether it was a needle from a mattress versus a needle for like a syringe type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
That calls into question for me whether everybody that was there under the influence of something to not realize that you've been stuck by a needle. Kind of makes you wonder.
There were some people that were under the influence. There were some people that were drinking. Matthew the King got accused of drinking out there. I'm going to tell you straight up. I never saw Matthew the King drinking out there. I never saw Danny. I never saw Leah. I never saw Ashley. I never saw Sandra drinking. But
Was there
were quite a
alcohol
few.
at this encampment? Did people bring alcohol?
I did not specifically see cases of beer, but they also had tumblers. And when they approached me, they smell of alcohol.
Was Scott already gone
Scott was already gone.
when she got there?
Well, no, everybody, by this time, Scott is gone. There's a lot of protesters. Look, let me tell you this. Everybody had cameras, right? It was being recorded 24/7 while people were out there, right? Why isn't there any footage of me bringing needles? Very simple, because I never brought it. It has now come out that never happened, right?
Yeah.
It does not matter what Scott. He started attacking someone because I went into their chat. I'm going to be specific with Natalie. Tony was on life support. And again, me not knowing how I was now a bad actor and all this other crap that was going on, I went into Natalie. I'm sorry, sending you good vibes. Scott went in there. And one of his mods was also modding for Natalie at the time. And Scott got timed out because he wasn't being very nice. I didn't get
horrible. I'll never forget that because I saw that in the chat too, where he felt like I better donate a good portion of something because people are gonna drag me and say so. Because he made this all about him and his feelings when you have someone very beloved in the community on life support and someone going through something, and you could even see, like, I felt so bad. You could see Natalie's face, and she was just like, I don't have time for this. Like, I do not have time for this. I'll never forget that. And he knows he effed up on that one. That crazy.
He came after me. In other words, because the encampment failed and they packed it up, he needed to blame someone for it, right?
So it was your fault.
It was my fault. I wasn't a true hermit. I wasn't certified. I wasn't licensed. I wasn't this. I bought needles. I passed out pipes. Let me make this very clear, and I need this to be 100% clear. During the occupation, I never passed out crack pipes. I showed them to, I think it was Confident Chris.
Sorry, you guys know I'm a harm reduction specialist. And you guys gonna learn. Yeah. And I carry this because a lot of you.
We were educating people on what harm reduction was. We happened to walk up. I showed them the pipe. Yep, this is what this is.
And he talked about it. I heard his voice on that video. Yeah.
But wait, that's not the only thing that I did. Confident Chris, after we had already cleaned up, finished cooking, came over with a chef's outfit and the ratatouille rat. And he was all like, oh no, it's over. And I said, you know what? Let's get this on video. Again, because we wanted it to be a lighthearted, you know what, we're all in it together. I had bought a little small blender. I had gone to the store and gotten some berries and, the shortcake, because I was going to make shortcake with whipped cream and everything. And confident Chris, I said, you know what? Why don't we make smoothies? So he ran over to the corner store, bought some milk and yogurt, and we made some berry smoothies and we passed it along. That's what we did. And again, we're trying to keep it lighthearted. It was the atmosphere out there with Scientology, and I'm blaming Scientology and LAPD for this. It was attack the protesters, attack the protesters, attack the protesters. So in my mind, I was, you know what, we're going to make this lighthearted. Yeah, ratatouille and the chef, here, let's go ahead and cook this. We're not going to give Scientology what they want. We're going to make this fun. And it wasn't just me. That came from every protester that was out there. Their idea was to have fun and spread the information, right?
Let's talk about this little post that Scott made, because he's kind of like flipping out, right? Have you read it? And I'm not going to read the entire thing.
I skimmed through it.
I'm going to tell you what he said. He said, I said from the beginning that it was planned to have a tent for harm reduction from the only individual certified harm reduction specialist in LA. Did you tell him that you were the only individual? Okay. All right.
I told him I was the only independent certified harm reduction specialist. And what is the difference, Becky? I was part of that pilot program. I'm not associated with an organization. I don't work with an organization. I do it. Everything that I do out there for the homeless, I do it out of my money, out of my pocket.
Okay. Let me keep reading. Thank you for clarifying that. That title was important, he says, and its most important aspects of this post. This was to assist unhoused in safe use, as I've seen a very effective use of bug police at festivals. Anyways, it's become clear on day 4 of the occupation, which he was not there for day 4, guys. He was only there for day 1.5 because it was half a day that he was there. So funny, who decided correction? I don't know if you guys can hear me. Sounds like he was only there for 3 days. At least that's from what people are saying in the chat. But still, like, it still doesn't make sense to do all this and then expect other people to take over and then call them bad actors when they don't do what you want them to do. You're just watching their streams to critique what they're doing, the shit that you're supposed to be doing. But okay. And by the way, the person that said, I'm leaving, I'm unsubscribing, my friend, this is not the airport. You don't have to announce your departure. There's several flights out and several flights in. You don't have to announce your departure. I really appreciate the time, at least the view that I got right now. Thank you. But please don't feel the need to announce your departure. I'm sure the Twat Waffle Esquire chat over here does not give a shit about that. Okay, let's keep going. And I know that I'm being extra when I say this, but the ish that this person has put a lot of people through, I think we all deserve to be extra spicy, extra whatever we want to be. Okay? All right. Let me remove myself so I can be quiet. So it feels like maybe somebody else was watching who said that Becky was doing X, Y, and Z. And
Sandra.
Well,
Sandra,
I don't know, lady, but
so far, every person that has come forward and has apologized. How did Sandra Day become so involved in this? Let me just break it down very quickly. I have her text messages where she said she was going to talk to Scott because Leah wasn't doing what she was supposed to do and she was just there to help. And I said, okay, cool, whatever. I had some meetings that I had a couple, I think it was like 3 Zoom meetings at the time. And so I just kind of text her, okay, that's it. She went to Scott. Leah wasn't doing what so she was the little snitch that went to Scott.
Why wasn't she just made in charge of it? There. So it says it became clear on day 4 of the occupation that the tents and the harm reduction stuff offered a threat, an opportunity for police to take advantage of lack of oversight and possibility of protesters being nabbed for items related to drugs. Again, there was only 6 or 7 homeless people that was known, and then the rest were protesters. Let me ask you a separate question, Becky. Did you, outside of the person you already said you've offered a harm reduction bag to, any of the other protesters? Don't say names.
Not protesters. No, not protesters.
Okay, no. But there was the La Poubelle situation where you gave a harm reduction. That person was not a protester, correct?
No.
Okay, just want to clear that up. All right, let's keep going. He says, and by the way, I mean, acting like LAPD doesn't know about harm reduction specialists, it's on their website. So I don't know what the hell is that all about, but okay. There have been verifications via live streams of Pinche, he doesn't put Becky, interesting, of Pinche passing out meth pipes contrary to statements by her. Laura stated that she got poked in the tent weeks ago. Let me stop right here because this guy doesn't use any periods. There have been verifications via live stream of Pinche passing out meth pipes. There is one video where she's showing a meth pipe. She didn't pass that. And that's going to be shown on this video. Show me the video where she passed it because that's not being shown. Just like everything else that has been alleged, no video, no nothing. Okay, it further goes. He says there has been verification via live stream of Pinche passing out meth pipes, contrary to her statements by her. Laura stated that she got poked in the tent weeks or a month later. It took her that long to realize that, but okay. She said it was Greg's tent. I believe her. But yet you called her a liar about, now she's lying about the needles. Now she's lying whether it was a mattress needle.
Why is she lying about that?
You see, here's the deal. You only get to get this right one time. And they've been running with this for, I don't know, a year and some months now at this point. Let's keep going. She said it was Greg, Ted, and I believe her. I believe she said it was a needle, but can't remember the exact conversation per verbatim. But my understanding there is in some live streams that the conversation exists. Good. Post them. Those facts of Laura being poked by a sewing needle. Now it's a sewing needle. Thought it was a mattress needle. What kind of a mattress needle, sewing needle, syringe? A pump needle or a clean needle didn't diminish the lies about not being certified with LA County or handing out meth pipes. No, you just don't know how to do research about this. Thank you. The unuse of the word clean needle is interesting. Laura was the one who said it was a clean needle on Aja's video, correct? Okay.
She said it was on Aja's video. She said it was a needle, but then she popped into Scott's stream like a few days later, I believe. She kind of popped into the window and was like, well, I told them that it was, no, what she said was, Becky was always very nice to me. I don't think she should have brought out needles because Pearl Snappy, Selfless, and Scott have been telling me that it was a needle. I thought it was for,
but they weren't,
she thought
were
it
they
was
there?
No, I think they were.
Scott is not here. He's got a TRO. What about the other 2 individuals? They weren't there. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh.
Anyways, he says the use of word clean needle is interesting. Not sure how anyone would know if it was clean or not. That's a great question. That's a lot of questions. It's a great question.
Well, that's the question that I asked. How would they know?
How would you know? No one went to the doctor and they sure didn't go to a chiropractor. Obviously, the comment was a joke, but some don't get the humor. I'm not going to get the humor if I'm being accused of doing something that I didn't do. No one went to the doctor. So I thought this was said more than once, but okay. Whatever was actually said, I know that I took from that she got poked by a needle. I know through someone else's testimony at La Poubelle that Pinche gave a needle to some guy there. Good. Where's the video?
Never did.
Where's the video? She just said that this was a separate person at La Poubelle, which was what? Becky, what did you give to the guy at La Poubelle?
Testing strips, and I believe it was the rubber tip to the crack pipe.
He further says there's video on Dan Walks LA of the transaction in front of the blue tent. to me somebody saw her exchange money for needles. Yeah, show the video of that. All these things, where are the videos for these things? Nothing. I know from Beachhead that she does pass out needles.
Let me hold on. That's something for me to clarify right here.
Okay.
He claims that I do pass out needles. What I did was I took 50 clean needles in a bundle inside a paper bag, and I handed them to an organization.
How does he know this?
That's what he
How
means.
does he know this?
Because it was on a video.
The one we met last week. So we do, as you can see, they were asking for, some needles, to pass out because LAPD did go and.
Okay, so, but.
And I'll send you the video.
Perfect, but this isn't part of the occupation.
No, it's not part of the occupation.
Perfect,
No.
and
Nope.
the needles are part of harm reduction. No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what he had to say. Then he says, Rabbit, I'd love to see the video about needle. And then he goes into Louis Repetto and all this other stuff. Let me say something real quick about that. First of all, there is nothing genuine or authentic about you, Scott, that I would even entertain a conversation. You don't even know what I said or didn't say that was real or not in terms of the Louis Repetto thing. Okay, so let me be very clear. As far as you don't matter in that equation. You can go. I have no problems sharing with anything with law enforcement as it pertains to that situation, because I do feel like it should be investigated. No problems. That's what I said. If I was so worried about it, then I would be worried about it, but I don't care. And by the way, I put it on private because why would I allow you to review my content? Being just belligerent as you are, why would I allow you to do that and then make fun of the people that are part of this situation? There is nothing genuine. I sure as hell hope that Louis Repetto sees through this BS, but you know what? That's on him. Anyways, so that is the post that he said, and it's so funny to me because it's like, I don't know, Becky, why did you become such a target?
Because I did it so publicly.
Okay.
When he asked me for my personal information so that they can do a background check on me, I said,
Why would you provide that to him?
Right? I'm out there. This is volunteer. I'm not getting paid. I wasn't even monetized at the time. I'm not getting paid. This is not a job. I do this as a volunteer. No, you're not. And my concern wasn't with the protesters. My concern was with Scientology. I don't need them to know my name, right? So I said no to that. So I was very public about that. I was also very public about telling him, okay, Scott, then I'm out. Because I refuse to pile on Eddie. I refuse to use his mods as mine. Let me make the choice. It's my channel, right?
So then shortly after, there was a concern about you talking to Moxon. The site, I don't even know what he really looks like. I'm gonna be honest with you. Are you your connection?
Also member?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
We were at the courthouse.
I was called by this asshole. I was called an OSA adjacent creator, and I'm like, says who? You have no idea. This is somebody who has leached into this community, who uses terminologies and doesn't even know how to use it. And then I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that he has used, because I'm sure this is gonna lead into the Laura conversation, that he has used Laura in that relationship to leach into this. I have never in my life, let me say this, when he that 5-hour stream when he's driving and reacting to Laura, this is so gross. These people helped you. You're in a pit of snakes. It's so weird to me how people don't see how he is trying to control Laura. Whether I don't know where people stand with Laura. That's, like I said what I said. I also got thrown under the bus over sharing a video of Das. I'll share it again if I want to, because that's what I do and nobody's going to tell me what to do, period. I get the sense that this is a very controlling relationship for this situation. It's very controlling. Maybe it's both ways, but the way in which he expects her to just jump and cut off people, that is not a solid and healthy relationship. Nobody should be having you cut people off. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Let me tell you, I became very verbal about it. You remember the stream when he was leaving LA? Laura was a spy. Becky was this. Becky
Oh
was
yeah,
that.
the Russian spy.
You can tell. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. But you can tell that he was not in his right state of mind, and I'll leave it at that. I personally thought, oh, I just had a disagreement with a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine, right? We'll talk about it tomorrow and we'll be fine.
All right, let me see what's going on. Give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, it just.
I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. But you can tell that he was not in his right state of mind, and I'll leave it at that. I personally thought, oh, I just had a disagreement with a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine, right? We'll talk about it tomorrow and we'll be fine. Me and Asha had a disagreement out there. And that very night, we took care of it. That very night, we were cool. We gave each other a hug. And let me move forward to the audio tapes. He illegally recorded our conversations. He was asking me about every single protester out there. I had nothing to say about any of the protesters. I had nothing bad to say to any of them. The only thing that I mentioned was our disagreement with Tasha. And I said, you know what, as long as she's not sitting there, rather, if you see me doing something wrong, whether it's in cooking or whatever, I would prefer for you to come to me and say, you know what, Becky, maybe you should handle the meat this way. And I'll be like, ooh, you know what, you're right. If you're sitting there and you're going, oh my God, I'm streamed. Look at the way you're handling. No, never mind. I'm not going to eat that. So what I said was, she's a great protester, but please just keep her away from me because I don't like that interaction. If I'm doing something wrong, pull me aside. Don't do it in front of the camera. Because at this point, remember, Scientology is wanting us to fight. Scientology is wanting us to get out of it. And to me, it's like, no, we're not going to show them that we're going at it with each other. You know what? Let's go ahead and handle business. And so, but me and Asha even said it in another stream. Everything that I said about Asha in that audio tape, I said it directly to Asha. I did not say anything negative about anybody. I was not there to tear down people. I was there to help. I was there to assist. I was there to build them up, not tear them down.
He was recording without your knowledge and then basically just trying to see any shit that you would say so then he could use it later on. And that is, unfortunately, some people don't know that, but that does happen a lot. For content, for, conflict content, the kind that you can monetize. And so then you had everybody kind of attack you after that.
Oh, I got attacked left, and people that I considered friends.
Yeah.
I reached out to when Laura came out with that line, and I reached out to them and I said, I can't do this. If I accuse her of lying, they're going to come at me even more.
Yeah.
But I did stand with the no, I did not. I was told that I should pass the baton. So you're trying to silence me? No. Whether I'm on YouTube or not, I'm going to continue to do harm reduction. Once again, I do not pass out needles because I cannot carry. First of all, it scares me. When people are shooting up, they don't care who they're sharing needles with.
Yeah.
That scares me. No, I'm not going to hand you. No, I'm not. I'm not going to take one back. That's why I give it to the organization. Let them do their thing. It's not that I'm opposed to it. I just personally don't do it. Period. End of story.
Let's go back to Moxon. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why you got basically yelled at, I think, verbally assaulted because they saw you talking to Moxon. What was that all about? Are you, because I think everybody questioned it. Why is Becky talking to Moxon? Moxon and
I did not.
What happened?
So when I got there, Scott made a comment. My stream was buffering. Scott made a comment. I said, well, will you give me an interview? Go fuck yourself. Oh, because that's a no, right? I left it at, that's all I said to him. Inside, I just sat down. Tanya was there. Tanya was someone else that had gone out to the encampment and made the spaghetti. She was out there. She approached me. I took a step back because I'm like, I don't know if she's friend or foe, right? She told me, Scott said I was a bad actor, da 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 da. I'm just here in the courthouse to watch. Oh, so she went inside, and then later on, I went inside. We sat separately. Moxon was sitting in front of me. Jennifer was sitting in front of me. I didn't know who these people were. I thought they were other attorneys there with clients. We're in a courthouse. I never spoke to them. I never said, not even good morning, because I kept to myself. I don't know who's on Scott's quote unquote minion. I don't know who's in there. I'm not gonna talk to nobody. You know what? I'm gonna sit right here and I'm gonna keep my mouth closed. So anyways, Tanya approached me when we were leaving. Tanya was talking to the DA. Moxon and Jennifer were maybe about 5 feet away from me. Tanya and the DA asked me a question and kind of motioned for me to come. And I went, fuck. Okay, so I went over there. He asked me for my name and I said, these walls have ears. I am not gonna say anything here. So we went to another smaller hallway that you have to go through closed doors. It's not necessarily private, but it's blocked off. Where if you have permission, you go. If you don't, you don't. Kind of deal. So we went to another hallway. He asked me about Scott and what I knew. I said, it's not really Scott doing the threats. I said, it's other people. I told them about Julie B sending me that death threat about La Santa Muerte. He said he knew. He said he knew.
Who knew? I'm sorry, who knew?
The DA. He said he knew all about it. The DA told me he knew all about what was happening with this child. And I said, I don't really have anything to add. That was it. When we were leaving, Laura, Scott, Ashley were heading towards the elevators.
And this is when they had already seen you with Moxon, correct? Like they had already
not with Moxon, with the DA.
Okay,
they saw me talking. I never even looked at Moxon. I was talking to the DA.
Okay.
Not Moxon.
All right.
So then, as we're walking now from talking to the DA, Jennifer and Moxon are out there. So it's Scott, Laura, Ashley. And we walked past Moxon and Jennifer to head over to the elevators. And Tanya says, I'm going to stand right here. So I looked back at Tanya. She was standing, who I now know is Moxon. She was standing behind me with Moxon and Jennifer. Well, I'm not going to be all up in their business and be like, oh, yo, what are you guys talking about? Who is this man? I just assumed she knew him because, her husband is the lieutenant governor or was the lieutenant governor of something.
Right.
So I walked towards the elevator. Laura sees me, does a double take, starts yelling at me. What the fuck, Becky? Why are you talking to Moxon? And I looked at her and I said, Moxon? Like, who the Moxon? And I looked back and I saw the DA. I said, yeah, I did talk to the DA. That one I did. So she starts to, again, get very loud, starts screaming. I see the bailiffs coming out of the courthouse that we just walked out of, coming out and investigating. Another bailiff shows up. So I tell Laura, they're listening to you. Calm down. I didn't want them to come after Laura. So I tell Laura, calm down. They're listening to you. Everybody was watching. It was a full shit show in the middle of the elevator.
Okay.
So I took a step back. She took a step forward. She tried to put her finger in my face. And that's when Tanya got in the middle of us and told her, you're not going to hurt Becky.
With this being said, though, right? She did clear your name, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will say this. It should have been a long time ago if she knew that she didn't know whose needle it was. And it shouldn't have just been her. It should have been a lot of people in that circle. And now those people are being attacked by the same person who was, and that's what I feel like, to a certain degree, when Scott said, and he said before that he was being used, I do believe that he gets used. Believe it or not, I think that these people that were in this little circle would use him to be like, to attack other people or and those people adjacent. Like, yeah, I agree to a certain degree. Doesn't mean that he's innocent of anything, but he does get used. Anytime they have a set target, that's who they're gonna attack. So that makes sense to me. She did clear your name, but she should have done that a long time ago.
And she even said it on her stream. So Becky, if you're watching this, it came from Scott. Look, I have no ill will towards anybody. Leah and I and Danny, we talked it out. You know what? I don't agree with what you did. I've never gotten an apology from anyone. That's what I told her. Leah said, Becky, let me be the first to apologize. And she sincerely apologized. Okay, cool, we're fine. Does that mean that we're BFFs and we're calling each other, hey, yo? No, it just means we're cool, right?
It means you're a woman enough to recognize where you could have done something different. And I think that speaks volumes to the person that she is. And I'm glad that she, recognizes that. But it's the other people that don't give a shit. And now we have to be mindful of their mental health. You know, what they're going through. Really.
We all go through something. Yeah. Yesterday I even posted about my own mother.
Yeah.
We're all going to
hear about your mom, by the way.
Thank you. She's it is what it is. So I think some of us look into this protest because we truly felt in our hearts that it was wrong what all the former victims of Scientology were going through.
Yeah.
Cheryl, Natalie, So I went out because I saw the pain in Laura's voice. I heard her pain.
Yeah, I would not by that too. But it doesn't give you the right to treat people this way. To live, to learn and love. Learning and loving is truly understanding that you're not the only person in this world, that there's others around you. And the shit that you say and do does impact other people. And that is truly what is happening here. And maybe she'll never understand that. Maybe she'll ignore it. Maybe she'll feel like this is part of drama and dragging. Hey, I'm calling this out right now. And she's not the only one. Let's be very clear. She's not.
No, she's not. She's
and
not.
It just
Many
makes
others did it.
It's like, it makes sense to me now. And it makes it very hard.
To advocate.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to advocate for it. There's been many times where I'm like, oh, fuck, no, why the hell did I get involved in this? But then when I hear the stories like Miriam, like Feral Cheryl, again, I go back to Feral Cheryl because she was completely innocent.
Yeah.
With what happened to her because of her father, because of this. It's those victims that I say, you know what, this is still wrong.
Yeah.
And because I have this community where Scientology is right next door, I still inform the community. I don't do it on YouTube. You might not see me, but I'm still informing the community of the harmful practices of Scientology.
And as I think we should all, especially the Latino community, because that's what they're targeting. People like people that look like us. That's what I'm saying. That it's like, yeah, it's not just about you went through what you went through, but this is bigger than you.
The conflict in my head about going out and trying to help and being stabbed in the back again and again and again and again. It leaves a very sour taste in your mouth. Yeah, sadness, but then when I think about the true victims, the ones that, you know what, Becky, thank you for speaking out. Cheryl.
Yeah.
Eric Rader.
Yeah.
And you hear their stories and you hear the sadness in their voice. That's when I'm like, you know what, we still have work to do.
Absolutely.
And whether it's on YouTube or off, we know about it. If we can prevent someone from going in there, great, we did our job. Why is Becky going to court? Why is Becky showing up there? For a whole year, I was attacked.
Yeah.
For a whole year, I was afraid. For a whole year, and being afraid and facing those fears. That's why I continue to go to Big Blue.
Yeah. Cool.
Why am I going to Scott's hearings? He truly and honestly had people attacking me for no reason.
They still do, by the way.
They still, oh yeah, are you kidding? They still do. So I'm gonna go and see him squirm in front of a judge. Even if not, I knew they weren't going to remand him into custody.
Okay.
He somehow always wiggles his way out of it. I wasn't celebrating prematurely. To me, it's like I'll celebrate when I see it.
Yeah. His posting, even this posting about the needles and all this other stuff, I'm like, well, what are you worried about? If you're not worried about anything, what can I possibly do in my video that would have you worried about needles? What are you worried about?
That he's worried that you're going to show that he's a liar.
He's been a liar.
That he lied. Mm-hmm.
He's been a liar, and the thing is that there's so many victims. Let me give you an example. Like Nora, and I'm glad Nora said what she said. You know, I know that everybody is, feeling some type of way. Maybe they feel like she could have said something or she could have looked at this. I know you have a different feeling about her. She said something that she also did her own research and was going back in there. The magnitude of people that have been affected by this one person, I didn't know how bad it was. Literally, the historic profile of this person, it's scary. Okay. And it's not going to end well. I'm just letting y'all know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, once I started also kind of opening my eyes to this, I said, oh, Lord have mercy. The internet YouTube will welcome just about anybody.
On top of, just to mention that Sandra has done a complete background check on me.
Yeah.
She has my information. She knows where I live. She has people that are close to me. Can you imagine this information being, and it has been, I know that for a fact, that it has been passed around some of the protesters. It's been passed around to some people. So now not only do I have to watch my back when I'm outside of Big Blue, I have to watch my back all day, every day.
Yeah.
And
you deserve to do whatever you want as far as court or going. I mean, that's, hey, you deserve to.
And there is a difference. Look at what they did to Rip Guy. You see what they did to Rip Guy. This is the type of my hubby. This is the type of harm that they're causing ex-Scientologists.
Yeah.
Rip Guy had to give his full name in court while Moxon and Jennifer were sitting there.
And this
Scientology was in there.
And this is an ex-Scientologist, guys, that this man has been attacking.
All of them. Give me one that he hasn't.
And I thought we were all fighting for the same team to stop the cult. This is the division. This is what it looks like. And people will justify it, right? You have your people that will do threats, dox you, do all kinds of things
because they believe someone that was obviously lying. And now it has come out that he was lying, that Laura was mistaken, whatever way she wants to put it. It was a lie.
And he's still excusing it. The gaslighting is real. I don't like to be gaslit. So I'm going to call it out, and I'm glad. Anything else, Becky?
No, I mean, all I really want is, in all honesty, is like, I just want people to be accountable.
Yeah.
I do not defend myself because of Scott.
Okay.
I defend myself for people like you who believe me, for people like Ellie, like my mods who have stood by me.
Yeah.
You see, it's those people that I defend myself. You see, I didn't do what I was accused of doing. Now, whether he has support or not, go ahead and support him. I don't care. Just don't attack on his behalf. Don't attack people when you don't know the whole truth. People were acting like they were out there in the encampment and they actually saw me. I have screenshots where people were saying, I saw Becky handing drugs to people.
Emails about it. I was like, seeing the comments that said, looking at this a year later, not one video where Becky gave a needle to a person. I believe.
Or drugs.
Yes, or please, or there was a transaction exchange of money. Please, I ask you to show it, and I have no problems eating crow and showing it here on this channel. I have no problems because I'm not like, there's a difference. There's something's off. But
if I've ever made a mistake and down the line, it's like, oh, I think I messed up here. Let me tell you what my biggest mistake was here. My biggest mistake here was deleting Scott. My biggest mistake here was trusting Scott. My biggest mistake here was being involved with Scott. That was my biggest mistake.
Oh, man. Well, Becky, I really appreciate you talking to me.
No, thank you, Rabbit.
Yes, you are amazing, and you just got to hang on, okay?
Thank you. Well, I've been through worse. I'm still standing.
Yeah.
My dad was my dad. The only thing of value a man has is his word. You lose your word, you lose your value. If poverty brings me to my knees, my pride will bring me to my feet.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I'm standing.
You have stayed consistent, and even like I said, I put videos on private when this, because it just became so much. I just put videos on private, and then I went back and I said, oh, this is really an inconsistent story of a lot of BS that people have added to it. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody. Pinche Becky, shout out to you. Thank you for talking to me. 15 months member. Shout out to you. Thank you. Well, that is that. Now, of course, you guys are allowed to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I did see some of the folks from the other side coming in here stirring up shit. Of course, that's just how it is. Sometimes people come over here and stir up things, but I really don't care. I think the truth stands. The truth never changes, right? There's no magical situation that would make the truth any different. The truth is what it is, and it stands alone, and it doesn't change, and it's consistent. And I would say that would be for Becky. She's been consistent, whereas other folks have changed up. Okay. I thought it was important to clear this up because literally this went over for a year and some months, and it just goes to show how far things will travel when, people are attacked in a community. The other thing too is that you guys got to ask yourselves a question about that money, because that money was interesting, right? Like the money situation, how much was raised? I don't know, man. I don't think we're getting the whole, scope of everything. And I would be surprised. Nope, there's no makeup, honey. I'd be surprised to see what's up with that. Just saying. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. And thank you, Becky. You guys have a great night. Hit the like. Bye, guys. Bye.